Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look at the books that I picked up in the month of June 2021. Now, to say this month was a bit Ed McBain heavy is an understatement. I picked up 3 decent job lots, very cheap, of classic Ed McBain paperbacks because I'm trying to get a full set of all the British UK first edition paperbacks, and that by no mean feat is a difficult task. And it's like a work in progress, and I'm probably about 3/4 of the way there now. But consequently, I brought quite a lot of lots in, and all those books need cleaning up and sorting. So there'll be quite a bit of that, as well as some other bits and pieces that I pick up in the course of a usual month. So I do hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're going to start off with something non-book related, and that's one of these little dexterity puzzle games. Now, these were produced in the UK by a company called RJ Journey, the RJ series of popular puzzles. And I've always been a fan of these games for a long time, but when I had one of my clear outs, I just had to sort of decide, am I going to keep it or not? And I did decide in the end to get rid of my collection of these, and I must have had about 40 or so. But sometimes you have to draw the line and sort of bite the bullet, as it were, and sometimes have a little bit of a clear out. However, I have to admit, I've got the bug again. I wanted to get back at least a few of my favourites. They do seem to still be plentiful online, so that's what I'm going to do. So, Journey started out in the. I'm going to give this a bit of a polish. It started out in the 1920s. It may even be earlier than that, and their early games are quite basic sort of dexterity puzzles, and then the ones that they're more famous for are these sort of small ones here, the glass topped ones, and they did all sorts of them. They did promotional ones. You know, there's part of the list there, numbers 50 to 114. I don't think the range went much past that, and they were produced brand new up until the 1970s, and then fairly recently, sort of about 5 to 10 years ago, some of the more classic games were re-released in quite cheapy editions. You can always tell a re-release because they don't weigh anything, whereas these have actually got an actual piece of glass in the top. Now, there's not a lot I can do with this one unless I wish to take it to bits. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with this one because when I looked at it online, you couldn't really tell that the inside of the glass had got a bit mottled and a bit well, obviously it's got a bit of damp in it, which is a bit of a shame because buying these back, I do really only want to get real minty ones if possible. So, but it is an early one, and the way you can tell it's early because it's got like the paper band around it, which is either peeled off, missing completely, or is not there on the later models. So, all things considered, for what I paid for it, which wasn't a lot, it was about a tenner, I can't really complain for what is a 70-year-old puzzle. Not one of the greatest ones, but still a very nice one all the same. So it's something a little bit different there to kick off. Now, today's video really has got an awful lot. Everything else is book related, and it's got a lot of Ed McBain. Now, I love Ed McBain. But before we sort of start on the Ed McBain, I thought we'd clear all the other bits and pieces first. So I have just got a couple of odd paperbacks to clean up. Let's just do the top edges of these. So we've got a Star Trek and this American Beacon book, which has been imported to the UK. And we'll do that one first of all. So Beacon in America were actually most known for being a sleaze publisher. But they did this little run of about a dozen science fiction titles. So this on the spine, if you spot it, just says a Galaxy Prize selection, and that's what this one is. So I only need a couple more, and then I've got all the Galaxy SF novels in the original Beacon paperbacks. And there's nothing, no actual writing inside this one. I got it fairly cheap because these are pretty scarce, you know. So that one's actually all right. And then I've got this this copy of Spock's World. Now, over in the UK, Spock's World was published by Pan and not Pocket. Now, if any of you know my Star Trek videos, I'm trying to get all the American printings of the Star Trek books, not the British ones, because I just don't like them. So this one turned up over here. Now I am slightly torn because this one has got a separate barcode that's been stuck on the side there, and it does sort of cover up the word Spock. So I'm in two minds whether to actually even pull it off, because it's not looking, I just don't know how easy that's going to be, and I just have a funny feeling it's going to make a mess. And at the moment it's completely smooth. I think for the time being, unless I get a better copy, I'm just going to leave that as is. Now, I've been trying to finish off my run of Giles books, so we'll have a look at those. I got a few of them, but this was really nice. Now, I used to have one of these back when I worked in the book trade, which was around this time. I was sent this British hardcase crime catalogue from Titan Books. That was on their sort of mailing list. And once again, as part of a purge, I got rid of it. I got rid of my my promotional stuff and the little collection of hardcase crime I had at that point. But my friend over in the States, Gary Levisi, he had a copy in his collection. He was very generously sent this one over to me for a very good price. I thought that was all right. So I'm very pleased to have this one back. It's a real nice part of my hardcase crime collection. It shows all the early books up to 2012. Which is cool. Some of these early ones have actually got quite tough to find now in sort of like first paperback edition, and I certainly have been enjoying them. So that was really nice. I was really pleased to get that one. Now we've got a few Giles books, so just enough to sort of clear the collection. But I was book hunting in the charity shops in a place called Brixham, near where I live. And it's charity shop heaven over there, I can tell you. And I came across this one. Now, I knew they only ever did 2 Giles diaries, 94 and 95, and I've got them both anyway. But as you can see, this one cost £3. And there's no way I would have paid £3 for this diary, which is actually really common. Just going to take this little label off here. But you'll see why I picked it up in a moment. So I don't even know why I even bothered to pick it up, because I knew I had both the diaries anyway. But look what was inside. So it's a cartoon here for Desmond, Christmas 1993, Joel and Krista, and it says Pet Bottom. Now I looked this up, and Pet is actually the name of the artist, and he's an American political satirist. How this ended up in a charity shop in Brixham, I honestly have no idea, but this is an original sort of drawing from Joel Pett and Krista Pett, I guess, for somebody called Desmond. How cool is that, eh? Nothing to do with Giles, except it's a fellow cartoonist, someone who did political cartoons. Really nice, eh? So, and also quite unusual. So that was pretty cool to find. And then before we do the rest of the Gileses, there were 2 more Star Trek pieces. So we got this, the 1974 Star Trek Annual. This was the last of the classic series annuals that I needed to get. And I haven't really found any of them harder to find than others. They released one pretty much for every year of the 1970s, except to say that this one was perhaps a little bit harder to find in nice condition. So this one is a pretty nice example. It's not perfect by any means, but it's pretty nice. So there's that one, and there's also the one that they did for Next Generation, which is, I believe, in 1991, as I recall. So those were the final 2 that I needed to finish my Star Trek annual collection. So I've got the whole lot now, so I'm going to be doing a video on the British Star Trek annuals, the complete set of those. So I think it's probably a good point, if I just give the edges of these a clean, we'll actually polish these ones whilst we're here. And then we'll just have a few Giles annuals to go through, and then we'll be on to Ed McBain City, which is, I'm very much looking forward to going through those. Now this Star Trek annual's really picked up some dirt along the top edge there. So when we polish it, we'll get the cloth right in there, because that'll pick up that little sort of edge of dirt. Not too bad on the bottom here. So there's that one. Now, as you know, when I do my cleaning videos, I do sort of give you a bit of a channel update as we go along. So, when was it? Maybe 3-4 weeks ago, as I filmed this, I did, or the channel rather, got to 10,000 subscribers, which was a fantastic little milestone. So thank you very much for that. Onwards to 25,000. I think that's the next one I'm going to celebrate. And that may be a year or two away yet, but hey, who knows? Never can tell. Right, let's give these a polish. So at 10,000 subscribers, you can then do a couple more things. In fact, the final things on a YouTube channel get unlocked when you hit 10,000. So that is channel memberships, which is a bit like a Patreon, where you're able to offer like rewards for people who subscribe and join your channel. And then you can also do merchandise. Now, while I'm cleaning through some of these books, I'll flash up some of the merchandise that you can get, because I mean, I've only got 2 designs. One of them is sort of my channel banner, and the other one is sort of, well, I wouldn't call it my catchphrase, but a lot of people sort of smile when they hear it, and that's when I say sit back, relax, and let's get to it, which I try and do on most of my videos. So these items are being offered on a variety of things like mugs and mouse pats and hoodies and t-shirts and things like that, you know. So it's just a bit of fun. I'll do, if anyone buys anything, I do get a cut of it, you know, so that would be cool. I don't expect to sell loads and loads, you know, I wouldn't for a moment, but if you are looking to buy a new mouse pad or something like that, think of my merchandise store, and if you want something with a bit of fun on it. Thankfully my channel logo managed to get through the copyright police okay, so it's quite a nice mishmash of what we cover on this channel, which I think is really cool. There, there's the Spock's. Well, I'll just give this one I'm not going to put any extra, I'm just going to give it a little very gentle surface clean, because this is an older book and it's got a different sort of a cover. It's not so glossy as that Star Trek one there, so I need to be quite careful on this. There's nothing major wrong with it, it's just, you know, a second-hand copy of what is quite a scarce little book, so quite pleased to get this. But the yellow on the back shows all the sort of fingerprints. There we are. Yeah, nice book, that one. This one, it's a cursory little, yeah, great little catalogue. I don't believe they did any more. This is the only one I've ever seen. And as I said, it was a British one put out by Titan Books. At least that's where I got mine from. But I imagine they used it overseas as well. But this was back in the day when I was in the book trade. And I got sent it for free with a couple of hardcase crime titles, as I recall. Right, let's give this Star Trek annual a bit of a clean. Because these are glossy plastic covers, I can put the polish straight on. And these will take up off lots of dirt and grime. Yeah, so that's been pretty good, and I do already have a channel member, and you know, the rewards are very, very similar to my Patreons. So my patrons, I've had, you know, about 10 or so patrons for quite a while now, and I really am very, very grateful to each and every one of them. My first ever patron was a chap called Ben Person. He's a big Doctor Who fan. He's into his science fiction. He has his own channel as well. And he's been a very, very generous supporter of me and given me lots of encouragement right from the very start. In fact, all my patrons have, but Ben was the first to sort of support me on Patreon, and he was the first person to take out a channel membership. So not only is he a producer, he is a studio boss. Now, what that means is that's like the highest tier that I do on my sort of Patreon or channel memberships bit, I should say. So if you do join it through YouTube, and you can join from as little as £1, you get, if you leave a comment on one of the videos, you get like an emblem next to your name to show that you're a channel member. Those comments will get highlighted or pinned to the top of the comment section. And you get custom emojis, so there's a few to choose from. There's some Doctor Who ones, there's a Star Wars one, a book sort of reading one, and a gaming one as well. So it's pretty cool. As well as you've been able to get access to the videos that I upload to YouTube for access early. So my patrons and my YouTube channel members get the early access videos at the same time. I'm trying to up my early access to make the patron as rewarding as possible, really. It is interesting because some things, like I'm going to be doing regular market watch. It's just sort of pricing up what stuff has been making. In fact, I've got my second one to do. I'm filming that this week, where I've got another load of books and bits and pieces. I'm going to be analysing what they've been making online. And once again, there's a few shockers, I can tell you. The price some of this stuff is going for is quite incredible. I'm also this week filming another video with John, the action figure grader. So I'm not sure if you saw that one, but John is a real expert on the prices that stuff is making these days in the vintage toy, well, the vintage Star Wars market, new and old. He's also got his finger on the pulse with the comics as well, because he collects those. And I pulled out, I don't know if you saw this video, but I pulled out 10 of my, look at that dust there. Look how this is going to come up in a sec. I pulled out 10 of my vintage Star Wars figures and sent John some pictures. And then look at that, look at the difference. And then John valued them up, and it was absolutely astonishing what they actually made. I mean, I was surprised. So I've got another little batch of stuff. I'm not going to be all figures this time. I'm going to mix it up with a few of the key Marvel comics from back in the 70s and early 80s. And John's up for going through those. So we'll see what you can come up with. But I think it's going to be a bit of fun. That's for certain. Right. So there we are. That's the first little batch of stuff done. So I'm just going to pause there. Then we've got a few Giles books to clean up. Right then, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Giles books to do. Now, I was always missing a few of the tail end Giles books. So I've been buying a few job lots when I've seen them cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean sort of like 99p for 3 sort of lots plus the postage. So we are talking cheap. So I've ended up doubling up on a few, which is absolutely fine, because I'll offer them to my friend George, who's also collecting them, because these later ones, neither of us have really been picking them up brand new, to see if he needs any, and then the rest will just go to the charity shop and see if they can make use of them. They're not really worth selling online. They don't sell for a lot, so it's not really worth pursuing that way. There we are, that's them done. But it would be lovely to get the full set, and I'm almost there, I think, now. And then once I have got the full set, I'll be able to film like a third and final video with the sort of the Giles annuals, which I've got up to date, because I did the first one, which is the first 25 annuals, then I did 25 to 50, and these most recent ones, there's about another 20 or so of those, plus some facsimiles of the early ones. I have got a bit of related memorabilia, which I may end up sort of doing the facsimiles, and there's some jigsaws, and I got phone cards and a bit of related Giles memorabilia, calendars I've got a wedge of. Maybe in a fourth video, that might be a bit more fun to have a standalone video for those. But these just are going to need, let's get a little bit closer here, just going to need a polish. I'm just going to angle this camera down ever so slightly. So we've got an eye on the action. And then once we've got these Giles books done, we've then got, I reckon, about, there must be almost 50 Ed McBains to get through, which is going to be a lot of fun because they are fantastic. Brilliant. So what else then? So we've done the 10,000. We've opened our memorabilia store. We've opened the channel membership. So that's been cool. I've had that collaboration with Action Figure Grader. He's a really great little channel. John over in the States. And I said I'm filming another one of those this week. What else has been happening? So, oh yeah, so there was a company in Bulgaria, and you may have seen them online. Now they're called Turned Yellow. And you think, what on earth is that? So Turned Yellow is one of these companies where they will take a photo that you provide and basically put it into the same sort of style as if you were from a Simpsons cartoon. So this has probably come about because I've hit 10,000. So their marketing department reached out to me and said, Jules, we see you cover Simpsons. Would you be willing just to give us a shout out? And in return, we'll do a product for you. We'll turn one of your photos and turn you yellow. So I thought, well, that sounds like a bit of fun, and it's, you know, free. I'm happy to give them a shout out. In fact, I'm giving them 2 shout outs because I'm mentioning them right now. In actual fact, I thought what would be much more fun would be to record and sort of catalogue the entire process. So that's what I've done. So the initial photo is going to be of myself, Sam, my son, and the dog, which my wife Wendy took. And then it's just us sat on the couch together, and then that's now gone to Turned Yellow. They have Simpsonized it. Then it went back because Sam, my son, had dyed his hair over the lockdown, and it was much lighter than the photo sort of made it look. So I said, would you mind lightening Sam's hair, which they've done. And then I had to go into their store and choose something to get it actually printed on. So I've got it digitally, but they also wanted me to put it onto a product. So I've chosen like a nice big canvas picture. And once that arrives, I will show it to you guys on here. And well, I'm going to do a dedicated video just on the whole process of turning me yellow. But they've done some, you know, fairly big celebrities in the past. A few social media celebs and what have you, and yeah, they're really good. So I thought, well, I can't really turn it down, can I, since I'm a Simpsons fan, and it wasn't going to cost me a penny just to give them a shout out, and I'm happy to do it. I love this sort of thing. It's not an official product, obviously nothing to do with Matt Groening or The Simpsons itself. They're just doing it in that sort of style. I know there's a couple of companies that do, like, you can make yourself look like a Futurama character or someone from Rick and Morty, for example, which is cool. But I've not gone down that road. This is just, if I was going to do anything, it would be a Simpsons character, so it couldn't have come at a better time. So yeah, really pleased to be able to do that. Now, even though some of these I've actually got, I'm cleaning them up because they may be, once they've been cleaned, these may actually be better copies than the ones that I already own. Some of them have got little marks on the side here, like that bit there, but nothing that's too difficult to clean off, you know, because these are nice glossy coverage, so there's nothing to really worry about. Just use my soft cloth and a bit of Mr. Sheen. So what else has been happening? So, there was another channel, and this is the second time that this has happened. So there was a channel on YouTube that does ASMR, so sort of softly spoken ASMR videos, and he said, can I do like a compilation of your some of your Star Wars cleaning videos, where I've sort of I haven't actually cleaned anything on the Star Wars. I've cleaned a couple of ships and things, but I've not cleaned any of the figures. I actually have that coming up because my figures have got really dusty and that, so I am going to do a Star Wars video showing how I clean my figures. But it was just like a little compilation. Now this particular ASMR channel had or has, I don't know, it's completely ad free, so the guy's not making any money from it, but it's got about 180,000 subscribers, something like that, so it's pretty popular, been around a while. And you know, for the exposure for my channel, I'd be crazy to say no. So I said, yeah, go for it. And that one went out a couple of weeks ago, not long after I hit 10,000. So my subscribers for this month have really jumped up. It's gone up by about 700 in the last 28 days, which is 200 to 300 more than normal. I usually get about 500, I suppose, a month. So at the moment, the channel's still growing. People are finding me and enjoying the content, which is pretty cool. Can't complain at that. Last one of these Giles books now. One thing I didn't check was if they had any little writing inside, any price stickers, but I don't think so. These modern ones, I think, were all from an original owner, and they've just been sort of pulled together in a little lot to be popped onto eBay. But I will quickly check these to make sure there's nothing inside, and then we'll make a start on Mr. McBain. So it was just the one Giles annual that needed a bit of rubbing out. This is the 2005 one. Really nice cover, that one. But it's just a little 40p inside. I'm pretty sure I've already got this one, but as I said, these were cheap and cheerful, so I wasn't worried one little bit. So we'll slip that one up there, and we've cleared the decks as best we can so that we've got room to start going through the Ed McBains. Now, some might say I am rather foolish. Let's get the first of 3 piles over it. Some might say I'm a bit foolish in the fact that I want to get all the Ed McBains in first British edition, and I'd like to get the very earliest American ones with those beautiful painted covers in American first edition. Now, I've been collecting these on and off for a few years, and I haven't read all the 87th Precinct books by any means, but I've read a fair few of them, and I got to admit, I absolutely love them. I really do. And Ed McBain as a writer, I've got really into lately. He's a really great writer. I've been reading some of his stuff from the early days of Manhunt magazine, and they are even better than you could possibly believe. So what I've been doing, when cheap job lots have been turning up on eBay, sort of like the books work out at like less than 50p a pop, they're the ones I've been trying to grab if I can. And so all of these, pretty much, there's a few that I bought just as individuals, but most of these pretty much have been picked up just in job lots, Ed McBain job lots. And that's, so they're not all first editions, but I'll have a secondary set, which will be my sort of reading copies, so I can take them on holiday, take them into work. If they get damaged or anything, it's not going to matter because they're just sort of reading my reading copies. And eventually I would have read them all, but some of them, it's funny, the early McBains were published by Penguin, the UK. And those are really easy to get because they're in the distinctive Penguin crime, although it's the later 60s ones. They didn't start publishing until the 60s. And it's all the early books, and they're really easy to get over here. Unlike the American ones, which are much, much harder to find, particularly in the UK. I have had some that I brought from the States, USA editions of the early ones. I've got like the first of Cop Pager, for example. I don't think I'd ever go so far as to collect McBain in hardback. It's just too many of them. He's too prolific. And even trying to get all his works would be almost impossible. Although a lot of his reputed sleaze titles, and they were never ever confirmed while he was alive, but lots of people think they were written by him, I do actually own, just by fluke, because they turned up in a huge sort of sleaze job lot I bought years and years ago, like 10 years ago, longer than that, from the States. So I don't know, but we shall see. But in the meantime, I'm very happy to have these McBain books, and obviously the ones I most like are the 87th Precinct titles. Very much police procedural, loosely based on Dragnet, the TV show Dragnet, but McBain himself went out with the New York Police Department, because the 87th Precinct is like this imaginary police department in an imaginary city, which is a bit like New York. And McBain himself, for historical accuracy in what he was writing, he went out with the police and learnt their methods. So these are a police procedural title, or books rather, which really are accurate to the time. And he wrote an awful, I can't remember how many 87th Precincts there are, but I think there's got to be 40 at a minimum. There's got to be 40 titles, maybe slightly more. There's a few like short stories and things like that as well. And the main sort of detective in it is a guy called Steve Carell, and lots of supporting characters, and they develop. So I always think it's probably best to read the books in order. But you absolutely do not have to. But if, I have, because that's just me, I will never read a series of books like this out of order. Not in a million years. But the early ones, as I said, they're in Penguin edition. You won't find any of those here. I've got them all already. So the ones I've been trying to find, I think, are much harder to get in first edition in the UK, and that's the later ones. The more, the very final few. Much, much harder to find in first edition. But as you can see, there's quite a few of them. But that's cool. Don't mind it at all. Watched an excellent video on. Well, there's two really good videos that, if I can find them again, I'll link to them into the description down below. One of them is by my friend Gary Levisi in the States. He did a look at the very earliest Ed McBain American paperbacks with the beautiful painted covers. He's got the very first one, Cop Hater, which I do own, the US and UK first, but he's got the USA first edition, beautiful copy, and it's signed by McBain, I think under his actual original name, not Evan Hunter, but is it Salvatore Lombardo, something like that. Another thing you might want to do, if you fancy reading, right from the start, I would definitely recommend starting with number 1, Cop Hater, because it's just an outstanding start to the series. But while you're going along, what you might want to do, which is what I'm doing, is listening to the Hark, the 87th Precinct podcast, which is a really good way of, seeing the guys take apart the novel, analyse it, give their thoughts on it. And they've also got a great little social media Instagram feed, which is quite nice for looking at the different jackets of a particular book. So check out the Hark 87th Precinct podcast as well. It's definitely worth it. Now, I'm not 100% sure, because there's so many 87th Precinct books, I'm not sure the best way to cover them in video form. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to go through these now and take out any pencil marks. So this one's got a little pound inside, and then we'll polish the jackets. So I'm not 100% sure what the best way would be to do it, whether I should split the series in two and do the earliest ones and do them all chronological, the earliest ones in chronological order, and just do the McBains in two parts. That's probably the best way to do it. The only thing is, I'm still a few short, so I could probably do part one, because as I said, the earlier ones, I had a lot of them in my Penguin collection anyway. But some of them are quite tough to find. The sort of the late 60s, early 70s ones, when it transitioned from Penguin over to Pan books, and I think some of those are amongst the hardest of all to find. So I'll have a look and I'll see where I'm at, and if it is just a couple I'm left to get, then maybe I'll have a stab at doing the first part. And you can let me know on this. Would you just like to see the books and all the different editions that I've got, the first British editions, or would you like to see them sort of similar to how I do my Star Trek videos, where you get a little preface about the story at the same time? So I'd maybe read a little bit so you know what the story is about. Let me know what you'd fancy, because I don't mind doing a little summary, because some of them I haven't read, of course. So I'm only up to a certain point in the series. Now, this one's got a name on the inside jacket as well, so I always use another book of a similar size to lean on, so I'm not bending the cover all the way back. I'm going to gently get this name out. It seems to have come out as good as it's gonna. I said, so it's just a 3-stage process with these. Dust off the tops. Check each one for any sort of pen marks. Not pen marks, but pencil marks that I can rub out. And then we're going to give them the final polish of the jackets. There we are. So that one's good. Got a bit to rub out. Let's see about this one. Yeah, so I said I was reading some of his very early sort of hard-boiled work from the pages of Manhunt magazine, that American pulp digest. It was released over here. Very, very good. And there's a couple of excellent Best of Manhunt trade paperbacks published by Stark House in America, but you can get them in the UK via Amazon. And they've got some great Ed McBain stories in there, including one. Now, I'm not sure what's the exact title of it. It's something like, I don't know, Left in the Gutter to Die or something like that. And I'm not kidding you. It is cracking. Absolutely. Oh, it's unforgettable, and it's really grim as well. So that was a really good one I read. And there was another one where it was two sort of rival gang members, I suppose they were. And they're forced by other members of the gang to play Russian roulette with each other. So they sat down at the table and they start speaking to each other in between them rolling the barrel of the gun. And they start to get to know each other, and they sort of say, well, you know, if we get through this, you know, maybe we'll sort of go out for a drink sort of thing. You know, as I said, they're like rival gang members. And they're not getting anywhere fast. They keep surviving the one bullet in the chamber on the Russian roulette, so they up it to 2 bullets and then 3. And by the time they got 3 in, the two have been speaking, and they've broken down the gang barriers, and they've sort of become quite good friends. And of course, then the inevitable happens, and one of them blows his brains out. It's a shocker, I tell you. Even though you know what's going to happen, believe me, it doesn't take away anything from it. It's really something. So yeah, that was from an Ed McBain classic, that one. There was, or there has been, on Ed McBain, there was a TV show. It only ran for one series. 3 of the episodes are written by McBain, and it was back in Oh, this is interesting. It's missing the gold. You see that? It would have been that gold band across there. It's quite a nice variant. It was 1961, 1962 was when the TV show was made, and sadly only ran the one series, but 3 were written by McBain himself. I've not watched any because in a way, I've read the books without looking at any media, because a few were sort of adapted as movies, and some of the stories, even though they're 87th Precinct ones, they were adapted and made into episodes of Columbo. At least 3 of them that happened to. So I've probably seen the Columbo ones, because I think I've seen them all, the Columbos, but I've tried to not muddy the waters of what I envisage the characters to look like by watching any of those until I've virtually done the book series, and then maybe I'll dip into the TV show. There's even at least one. I think there may be a couple of comics as well, which probably were published to tie in with the TV show, because that's how it went those days, back in the day. So yeah, if I do end up diving into those, I'll let you know. That's actually pen, that one. So many Ed McBain. But as you can see, these books are not long. Now, this is a typical one. Like it's under 200 pages. You're going to sort of, that to me is take it on holiday with you, read it by the pool in an afternoon. Love it. Blimmin' love it. Perfection. If you can't get away, as a lot of us can't at the moment, because most of the world is still in lockdown of sorts, take it to the park with you and read it in the sun. There we are. So, looking ahead on the channel, that's perfect, that one. Looking ahead on the channel, we've got, I still intend, at the moment everything's going great guns, so I'm really, really happy with it. I would love to reduce my working hours so that I could produce a 4th video a week, but at the moment I can keep up with 3, but there's no way I can do any more at present. But there will come a time when I'll be able to reduce my hours ever so slightly at work, and then I can gain myself an extra day. Just stick on that one, which I'm just going to grab now. So there we are. It didn't take much. So then I can potentially go sort of part-time at work, and or at least not full-time, which I am now, and devote a little bit more time to YouTube. So one of the things I am doing at the moment, I've now got the website looking fairly nice, like the basic templates are all in place, and I've started adding some content to it. Everything's been sort of tagged correctly, and it's ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to try and link all my videos from the website to YouTube, and I'm going to post. So like today, I've taken a few sort of behind the scenes shots of me setting up, ready for today's filming, and I'll sort of keep a sort of a blog going, potentially, to have a little bit of original content on the website. Also, as I get stuff published, which I've had stuff all over the place recently, the last few years, I'm going to try and pull it all together and do my sort of writings, so that you can review it there, and I think it'd be worth doing. So last step of the process then is to give these Ed McBains a bit of a polish. So I'm going to position the camera once more. Right, so we were talking about what's coming ahead. So yeah, so I've got the eBay watch for the next for the last sort of 6 weeks or so, ready to rock and roll. I'm going to film that one later today. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Always love checking completed auctions and seeing what stuff's been making. The James Bond books from Pans are particularly hot at the moment. Certain editions of those, not necessarily the firsts, are making very, very good money, which is a shame because I haven't got them all. I'm still looking for some. But I can't help but feel I don't want to spend too much money on them because you're just going to bump into them out in the wild, because it's not like they had small print runs. Those Bond books have massive print runs, so I know that they're out there. It's just a little case of looking for them. Same with the Pound Book Horror Stories, another series which is making incredible money in first edition, and I've got most of them, but there's just a few I'm still after, and I don't really want to pay big money for them because I know for a fact that the instant I do that, I'm going to just bump into them. They'll just come my way in a job lot, or I'll see 5 or 6 in a charity shop, or maybe at a boot sale or something like that, and then I'll be sort of kicking myself, oh, why did I bother buying these, you know? But that is the price the risk you take as a collector, I guess. It's quite a grubby back on that one, but I think it's come up all right. See them die. So what else have we got cooking? So now that I've finished the Star Trek annuals, as we saw a bit earlier in this video, that means I can film the complete British Star Trek annuals, which is very, very good. I've been after them for years, and I'm glad to finally get them licked. I would, if I don't really have the room to put a run together, but I'd like to get a set of the early Doctor Who annuals and the Dalek annuals, but struggling a little bit for space in my sort of room where I've got my larger format books. Might have to have a little bit of a purge of some of my non-fiction stuff to make room if I decide to go down that sort of route, you know, because I wouldn't mind getting them. So yeah, I got that video on the Star Trek. What else have we got coming up? I've got a couple more gaming videos coming. Still covering the little RG351 handheld, and I've been updating some of my early gaming videos where you run emulators on your Android phone, because those are videos that I've had they're tutorial videos. It's not the usual sort of stuff that most of my viewers watch, but they're the sorts of videos that keep the channel views very, very high because they're instructional. People like the sort of the slow pace that I try and explain something which can be quite fiddly from a technical point of view. So I don't mind doing the tutorial videos. They take a long time to put together, but the rewards and the amount of views that they get are quite phenomenal. And my top videos are, you know, a few 100,000 views a piece, and they're all these sort of tutorials. So I don't mind that, you know. But with them doing well, it means that it gives me more time to do stuff like this, which I love, you know, as you know. So I'm just trying to think what else we got. So Simpsons then. So I'm going to do a video on the turned yellow, getting myself made into a Simpsons picture. That'd be really good fun. I've obviously got some more Simpsons unboxings to do. We've got some comics I haven't even touched yet. So I need to get those finished off because I am still intending to start offloading the Simpsons stuff by the end of the year, because I just got to make a start on it. There's just so much there. It's like 30 boxes of it maybe, plus the comics. So there's no way I'm ever going to get them out. So they're going to, sadly, it's the first sort of bit of memorabilia to go in recent years, but I just can't keep it all. It takes up so much room, all the action figures and what have you. So as much as I love it, which I do, I'm going to have to sadly start letting it go. But I've got lots of fans of the channel who watch the Simpsons videos, and I've let them know, and a few guys have got pieces sort of reserved that they want first of all, and I'm happy for that to happen. There's a few bits I'll never let go because they're just too much fun, and I love them too much, you know. But a lot of the action figures and stuff, there's just I just can't keep it all. I'm still working my way through videoing my entire Penguin and Pan collection. So I did a video recently on the Penguin Puffin books, sort of my favourite Puffin books, and I tied it in with a look through the Puffin postcard box set, and that one went really, really well. In fact, YouTube themselves recommended it out to a few people beyond my traditional audience, and it got quite a few views, so that wasn't bad. But I can't help but feel when YouTube looked at my channel, which they definitely did, you can sort of tell because they're looking at lots of my unlisted videos, looking at what I've got coming out. I think they were just a bit mystified as to where to sort of pump or publicize my next sort of videos, and that's my fault. It's because I haven't niched down and cover one thing. So, you know, this is a channel which covers sci-fi, Doctor Who, Star Trek, classic crime, Penguin books, Pan books, video gaming, retro emulation. It's a real mixture of stuff, and if I just stuck to one thing, the channel will probably be much bigger, but I will be bored out of my mind, and that is why it has to remain a variety channel. I cannot be pigeonholed into just one thing. It has to come under the umbrella of sort of all things retro. I think that's the only way to sort of describe it. And if that doesn't fit with the YouTube algorithm, when it's not the end of the world, you know, the channel will find viewers, and you know, it'll find its own audience, but it might just take a bit longer than, you know, what some people might expect. But I don't care. It is what it is. I could probably get away with doing like an ASMR channel where I'm just like reading stuff. But, you know, I'd rather it was all sort of mixed in. So, you know, you let me know, but it's horses for courses. And I just wouldn't be able to keep the level of the videos being sort of produced that I do if I had to pigeonhole myself into one sort of niche. It just wouldn't happen, so I'm not going to even try. It's going to remain a variety because over my lifetime I've collected and collect a variety of stuff, and if people enjoy watching what I do when I do collect, then that's just a bonus, isn't it? Yeah, so, you know, I'm happy for people to come along for the ride. I love the interaction. I try and reply to every comment that gets put up on the channel. And that, believe me, is becoming harder to do as the channel gets a bit bigger. But most of the time I can handle it. I have also, thanks to a friend of mine, dipped my toe into TikTok, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because that seems more demanding even than YouTube. You've got to feed the beast, as it were, with regular TikToks, and there's no way I've got time to do even one a day, you know. I mean, I just don't have that sort of time. But on the TikToks, I am going to just keep it book related and see if I can pull in that audience, and then we'll just see what happens. But I'm not expecting any sort of great shakes, and I've got other fish to fry at the moment. But I think it is a way to get people in to the channel who maybe have never looked at it before and might find stuff that they like. And that's obviously ultimately what I want to happen, is as many people see the videos as possible. So if you get the chance and there's a video that you come across of mine that you really, really like, stick it out there, put it on Facebook. You know, Reddit is the best place, but, you know, I don't want to go on Reddit and promote my own videos. But if you don't mind going on there and pumping one of my videos, just put a link up, say this is really good, I really enjoyed this, on Reddit. That honestly will do wonders for the channel. It really does. It brings new people in and really helps the channel out when people leave one side and come to another. Now, a couple other things I've been doing recently. So when lockdown ended, at least so that the shops were open again, I did get out to the bookshops, and I did a trip around Plymouth, and I did a trip to Honiton, and they went down really, really well. Just general book hunting, and I hope to do some more of those quite soon. So don't think I've stopped, because they haven't, but I've just been very, very busy with other stuff. You never know, I might even be able to get to somewhere this week. We shall have to wait and see. But my main concern is to get my next few videos all filmed, like this one, and then I can edit them at my leisure. But while the house is nice and quiet, get a few of these under my belt. Well over halfway on these McBains now. McBain. Obviously the Simpsons character was loosely based on the name McBain. It's like a hard name. It was known as, like, you say McBain, it just sort of triggers something. There's sort of, people have some presumptions about the name McBain, and that's why I think they used that Simpsons character, and he was the sort of the Arnie Schwarzenegger style character when it McBain. So definitely still intending to build the studio at some point. Haven't quite got enough money yet saved up, but it'll come in time, and we'll get the ball rolling on that. It's going to cost several thousand, so it's going to be a big old investment, but it will make filming my videos easier. I'll be able to film more of them, that's for certain, because I'll leave all the gear permanently set up. All I've got to do is go in and take the stuff in with me and turn on the lights. I'll get it all fully soundproofed, and I get some really interesting backdrops and that. I think it'll be fantastic fun to do. So still definitely intend doing that soon. It'll just make filming so much easier to do at all times. So all the groundwork is now being done and in place, which we had done when we had our sort of kitchen redone. So there's power going out into the garden when we're ready for it. This is quite an interesting one. This one looked like a gold medal. Well, it is a gold medal, but it's a later gold medal. So even though this one says it's a first print printed in the USA 1954, and there's literally no other date on it. It's 75 cents is the main giveaway, and also there's an ISBN on the spine. So it's definitely not an edition from 1954 when this would have cost 25 cents. But that's when this story was first written, and the later Fawcett gold medals, they released this one probably at the tail end of the 60s, very early 1970s. This one was published. So it's not the 50s at all. Almost there, about 10 to go. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been doing some collaborations. I've done one collaboration with John, the action figure grader over in the States, and I'm going to be doing the next one on Thursday, and I'm going to dig up, if I can, some of the key Star Wars comic books from the original Marvel run, because they're apparently fetching good money these days. Some of them are regarded as like key issues, thanks to The Mandalorian. All the early Boba Fett sort of, or Mandalorian appearances are in high demand, as you would imagine. So that'll be fun. I'm going to dig out some more figures and some other bits and bobs, so we get those valued in a live stream, which we will record. I won't actually be going live. I am also going to do an Ask Me Anything sort of Q&A video. So I might invite people to send some questions in, which I'll answer in one of those fairly soon. I think that'll be okay to do. But yeah, I really enjoyed the collaboration with John. That's been fantastic fun. I'm definitely open for doing more if it sort of fits in with my with what I cover on the channel. I shall be appearing on his channel because he's doing sort of like a collector's spotlight thing, so that'd be a bit of fun to do. And one of the greatest parts of doing that video was just the nostalgia of remembering where some of this stuff had come from and how I first found it, because I did get very lucky with my Star Wars stuff back in the 80s because no one was bloody picking it up. Nobody wanted it. You couldn't give it away, and that was the time to buy it. Because it wasn't long after that it started getting quite hot, and then it's never really stopped, has it? Be that one there. Last few. I've written a couple of pieces for the latest issue of Paperback Parade, so do support that mag if you can. I'm also I've written a review of the first volume of Charlie's War for Battle in Britons. It's the latest publication from Justin Marriott. Also, my friend Bob over in the States has got the new issue of Men's Adventure Quarterly out. Now, I have reviewed that in a separate video along with some other more recent fanzines, and that one I've got a spare copy to give away as a prize. So if you haven't already, just leave a comment on that particular video, which I'll link to now, and then you can be in with a chance of earning your own copy of Men's Adventure Quarterly, issue 2, which is a brilliant issue. It's the all sort of spy issue. So I think you'll definitely enjoy that one. I'm happy to send it around the world. Just need to leave a comment on that video and share it online if you can. So we're just about there for another month of pickups, and what a great month it was. It was the Ed McBain Motherlode. It was 2 or 3 lots that I got, and then 2 or 3 bigger lots, and then 2 or 3 smaller lots, and they all sort of came in at the same time, which is really fortuitous. So it meant that we were able to do them all. I kept them all back. I thought, well, I'd just clean them all at the same time. Then I can take these into my main collection, and I can sort out the first editions, and then there's a few doubles here that I can swap out, and also my sort of reading set, and then the rest of them can go back online in a little job lot, the ones I'm not going to keep. I am still selling my doubles on eBay, but I haven't put much new stuff up, even though I've still got 500 or 600 vintage pans to get listed. I'm happy if someone wants to send me a list of maybe titles that they're looking for of Pan First Editions, and I'll go through and pull some out to order, as it were, if you have got a list of titles. Else they'll be listed in due course, but you know, it's just all about having the time to do it at the moment, as I'm sure you understand. And here's the very last one. Excellent. Lovely. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed another month's worth of book pickups. It certainly was an Ed McBain Motherlode, and I really enjoyed giving those a clean. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up, and do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular book-related content. Thanks very much for watching today, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.